and I would like to share more with you, but because of time, I want to respect the time. I want to now take the pleasure and honor to introduce His Excellency and the Ambassador Robinson Githai. Ambassador Robinson Githai was a member. Ambassador Robinson Githai was a member of Parliament in Kenya. He is my senior in politics, and he was a minister, a very powerful minister in a Minister for Finance. Currently, he has been appointed and trusted by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, to be the ambassador of Kenya to the United States. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome him. Please put your hands together for him.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophia. Assalamu alaikum. Let me take this opportunity to say how grateful I was when I was invited to come and share a few words with you. Let me say that since I came here, I've received a very warm and wonderful welcome. I had even a welcoming party at the airport. How many ambassadors are welcomed by such a big, large crowd at the airport? Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Wasame Ali, OIZ. Yeah, thank you for all the efforts you have made in arranging this trip. And to tell you just one thing, that if you don't do something, you'll be criticized. If you do something, you'll be criticized. So you better do something so that you are criticized. Thank you. And also to your organization, really, I think it could even have been more up in the sense that it deals with the reconciliation and development. Let me also take this opportunity to thank Faiza, who has been very kind to ferry us around. He has stopped looking after his businesses. Why is Faiza? Why is there? Oh, he's there. Please stand. We would like to say thank you. Thank you for taking time off from business to take us around. Today, I spent the whole day trying to meet people, trying to meet the members of the business community. I think I met Abdurrahman Ali of East African community, doing a very good job looking for jobs for fellow East Africans. Whatever he is, when you see him, tell him he really impressed me. He's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. I also visited Abubakar Mosque. I was also taken around by the director. And again, I really felt honored to be taken around the mosque. And I was even presented with a number of books on Quran and also on Muslim faith. Thank you to the directors and seen one here of Abubakar Mosque. Thank you very much. And also a wonderful lunch at Kilimanjaro Hotel. So thank you again. It was really nice. We had good African food. It was a good change from the American food. So thank you very much. And our mama here, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful music. Wape vidonge vyao. Wakimeza? Shauri yao. Asante mama. You are still strong and your voice is still beautiful. Thank you very much. It's really a blessing. Really a blessing. I don't want to take much of your time. This is Friday. You have been busy working. You want to go to mosque and then come here. And tomorrow, you have got other responsibilities. So I want to take very short time just to share with you my thoughts on how we should begin this dialogue. First, I want to say that Kenya has been a friend of the Somali community for the last, I would say even since independence, but at least for the last 30 years. I think that's a fact. Kenya, and when I say Somali community, I mean the entire community. I will not say Kenyan Somali or Somali, no, because you are everywhere. You are here, you are in Kenya, you are in Somalia, you are in Kenya, you are in Minnesota, you are in Ethiopia, in South Sudan, Djibouti, even in UK, isn't it? So I'll just talk about the Somali community. So Kenya has been a friend of the Somali community, particularly in the last 30 years. After the civil war broke in Somalia, and life became unbearable and intolerable for the people of Somalia, and therefore they had to seek a refuge. And the place they sought refuge was Kenya. And they were welcomed with both hands. And since then, we have been hosting the largest refugee camp in the world. At the moment, it has over 600,000 people. The only country that attempted to help the Somalis was the US in 1993. When they brought in an armed army in an effort to bring peace to the country. But that did not succeed. I think you know the history. I will not repeat what happened. And the president recalled his troops when the job had not even started. Since then, there has been no lawful order in Somalia as a whole. Kenya, in this respect, has invested a lot in the peace efforts in Somalia. We hosted the peace efforts in Kenya for a very long time, trying to get the militia, the warlords, the elders, and everybody to come together and come up with an interim constitution. That time I was a minister in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and it was our responsibility to nurture the peace talks. And I'm glad to say that our efforts paid off, because an interim transition of federal government was initiated, and the intention was that it would then be able to impose its will and power on the entire country, so that then peace could prevail. Unfortunately, this has not happened. Somalia is still not peaceful, and therefore we still have the refugees. I want to answer all the issues that have been raised, and I think by the time I finish, there will be no need of any question, because I'm going to answer all the questions. If you still want to answer a question, then you'll be saying that I did not address all the issues. So, Kenya, we don't consider the Somali community a burden. We consider it to be a very important community. And you can see this from the investments that they have made, for example, in Isli, the biggest mall is owned by the Somali community. South Sea, Nairobi West, all those and all the apartments coming up in Nairobi, the transport industry, the matatu, are owned by the Somali community. So they have prospered in Kenya. And that's what I'm saying, we don't consider Somali community a burden. We consider Somali community as investment. because you have that gift of business. When I went to the village mall and the Ogaden mall, I mean, you can see, yeah, you can see the business people, you can see business people. Yeah, this is what I was told. That's what it's called. So I'm only repeating what I was told. Yeah, but you can see, yeah, you can see the business acumen. In fact, most of them were being, the people I saw were the ladies. Yeah? Yeah, isn't it? So you have that business acumen, and for us in Kenya, we would like to nurture that business acumen and to encourage the Somali community to invest even more. And as a government, even from a political point of view, the Somali community is very important to Kenya. For example, my Minister for Foreign Affairs, Abasador Dr. Amina Mohammed, comes from this community, isn't it? Foreign Affairs Minister is a very important ministry. You don't just give it to somebody, anybody there, you know. It's somebody you trust. Yeah? Somebody you know is capable of ventilating Kenya's diplomatic position in every sphere of the world. Yeah? And there are many more. We have Adan Mohammed, Minister for Industrialization, and my friend Adan Duale, the leader of majority. And you know we have a new constitution. People still don't know what the leader of majority means. The leader of majority is the third most powerful position in Kenya. It's more powerful than the previous position of Prime Minister. Because now we have got an executive president, an executive deputy president instead of vice president. The next position is leader of majority in parliament. Is one who deals with all government matters and legislation. Yeah? So politically, the Somali community cannot say it has been isolated. And there are many more. There are other PSs. Yeah? Many important PSs all over. If you come to the army, until recently, who was the head of the army in Kenya? Yeah, General Muhammad Mohammed. Yeah? For a long time. You don't entrust, no president would entrust his army to a person he does not trust. Isn't it? And there are many more in the senior ranks in the army. So again, the point I'm making is that the Somali community is an important community in Kenya and has been recognized as such. Then there was the issue of marginalization. That came about because of the economic policy that had been adopted. And it was a question of what comes first. Do you develop the areas that are completely undeveloped, or do you develop the areas that have some semblance of economic activity so that then they can be able to produce enough for themselves and surplus to invest in other areas? So that's the model that Kenya undertook for the last 40 years or 50 years. But now we have a new constitution with a new constitutional order. We have now the county governments. County governments. And we have the county governments of Wajir, Garissa, and Madeira. And under the new constitution, money from central government is remitted directly to the county governments for them to embark on development. And the formula is that those counties that are not very developed should get a lion's share of the resources. And that is exactly what is happening. Even said the government, within the next 2 years, northeastern region will be completely different when the road all the way to Moyale is finished within the next 2 years. In other words, you'll be able to move on a good tarmac road from Nairobi all the way to Addis Ababa. You'll be able to move that. Can you imagine the economic potential that is going to unleash when that road is done? We expect, if you look at all the towns in Kenya, Mombasa, Voi, Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, they are all on either a major road or a railway line. So by doing this road, we expect now a lot of urban areas to grow, to come up on that road. In addition, I know that you have heard of the LAPSET project. The LAPSET project, again, is meant to unleash the economic potential of northeastern area. We are going to build a road from Lamu to all the way to Arisa, to Isiolo, to Ethiopia, to South Sudan, or to Uganda. Put together with a railway line, together with a pipeline, in order to open up that area. So within a few years, that issue of marginalization will not be there anymore. Now let me now come to why have these concerns that you have raised, how did they arise? First, let me start with our defense forces, Kenya Defense Forces. I was the Minister for Finance when that decision was taken, and I can tell you it was not taken lightly. Why? Is when somebody we did not know, that animal we did not know, started attacking tourist hotels in Lamu area and adapting tourists. The policemen would pursue them up to the border because under international law, you cannot proceed until became impossible. So we had to invoke what we call international law of hot pursuit. So initially, the aim was to pursue that faceless enemy that at that time we didn't know what kind of enemy it was, because we didn't understand how somebody, an organization, could have the sole purpose of abducting tourists, killing people. You know, it was something that was new to us. So a decision then was made, when these incursions continued, that the only way now is to take the war to where the enemy is. The aim was to liberate and clear off the Al-Shabaab completely, to enable now the transition of federal government to police the area. But again, unfortunately, it has not happened. So when our forces went all the way to Kisumayo, the Al-Shabaab scattered and now joined the local population, became a distinction between civilian and themselves, and that is what is causing the current problems. The reason they are giving for attacking Kenya is because our soldiers in Somalia is not good enough. Kenya is not the only country that has soldiers there. Ethiopia is there. Uganda is there. Rwanda is there. And I think there's another, I think even Sierra Leone is there. Djibouti is there. So that's not a good reason. In fact, I think the elder who spoke here is one who actually said the truth, that the sole purpose of Al-Shabaab is to cause a division between Kenyan government and the Somali community. That seems to be the sole purpose. Don't forget, this is a faceless enemy formless enemy, difficult to establish because it's formless, shapeless, and faceless. When you are dealing with that kind of enemy, a few mistakes are about to occur, and they have occurred, and it's good to admit that they have occurred, a few mistakes there, here and there. You are aware of the major incidences, the Westgate attack, Westgate Mall attack, the Garissa University attack, and many others that have occurred. So Kenya government is trying to eliminate and eradicate this new enemy that we previously we were not aware of. And when you are faced with something new, you're about to make one or two mistakes as you try to clear. But the mistakes, if any, have not been deliberate. It's trying in all sense to sort it out. Initially, we thought we could do this militarily. But we have realized that for us to be able to eliminate Al-Shabaab, we have to use other forms in addition to military. So, one, we are using now the elders, and that's why I'm here. I want to appeal to the elders because the institution of elders is the only institution that is respected, that is working, and that has been in existence for a long time. So I'm appealing to the elders to help us eliminate and eradicate this Al-Shabaab. We are also using the faith, the mosques. You remember another wave came when particularly all the mosques in Mombasa were taken over by very radical groups. The good news is that government has been able to return all those mosques to the rightful elected leadership. That has been done now. So the mosques are back in the hands of elected, rightful leadership. That has been done in an effort again to eradicate this. The youth, we have also realized that we cannot win this war unless we involve the youth also. Because most of them are the ones who have become radicalized. The ones who are moving to Syria and to other places to fight. So we have now in Kenya started what we are calling Youth Enterprise Fund in an effort to give youth all they require is simply a business plan. No capital, no collateral is required. So they can be able to access funding and start their own businesses, like the way I saw here. Yeah, like the way I saw here. So, again, we have realized that we have to use the youth also for us to be able to eradicate this menace. And in addition, this year, the President Uhuru Kenyatta came up with the Weso Fund. Again, an effort to increase funding to the youth, to the women, and to the disabled. We also have Women Enterprise Fund, again, to capture the women and bring them into productive enterprises. Then let me come to the visas. You say that visas are difficult to get. I'm actually surprised I'd like to know the person who has recently, since I arrived, who has recently come to DC to apply for a visa. Because we issue visas on the same day that we receive them. Now, you send your application, we receive it, we work on it the same day, and we post it back to you on the same day. So, please come and apply for your visas. It will take just a day. Yeah? And once the Kenya embassy has issued you a visa, you should not be asked any other question in Nairobi. You have a visa. So again, something I'll take up in Nairobi, that should not happen, because before we issue the visa, we have gone through all your documentation. So that is not government policy. That is probably a renegade kind of immigration officer. No, that's not government policy. Government policy, if you have a visa, you are entitled to all the respect. You are entitled to everybody being pleasant and welcoming. That is why we want tourists to come to Kenya. How will you come back again if you have had a nasty experience at the immigration? That is not government policy. Now, the famous wall. I think it has been misunderstood. When government said that is going to put up a wall, what we meant is not putting up a wall of the 1,500 kilometers. What we meant is on entry points, on border points. Yeah? Because at the moment, what's happening, the issue is that, say, you are the border either in Moyale or Madeira. At any given time, you don't know whether you are in Kenya or you are in Somalia or you are in Ethiopia. In fact, what people do, during the day, they go either to Somalia or Ethiopia to go and have lunch, and then in the evening to come and sleep. So there's no, so you don't even know where the border starts, where it ends. So it's only on border points. Yeah? So that is very clear. So that is, there's some procedure. You know, not just walking in and out. At will. Even in a building, there is a door for you to enter. So that is all what the government is trying to do. It's not what I think you have read, that we are putting up a stone wall. Berlin Wall. China Wall. No, we are not putting up any China Wall. We are not putting up any Berlin Wall. It is purely for border control purposes. Garissa University. There is no good reason why Garissa University should not be reopened. There is absolutely no good reason. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the students went to the university and said, please open the university. We want to resume our studies. So I will be writing to the Minister for Education to tell him to instruct the Senate, because it's only the Senate of the university that can open. Yeah? The Senate should meet and reopen the university, or give a program of reopening the university. There is no good reason why the only university in northeastern region should not be reopened or should be closed as of now. You know, when the colonial boundaries were made, you know, we were not consulted. Some people set up somewhere in city of Berlin, in Germany, and drew a map of Africa. Say, that is Kenya. Yeah? That is Uganda. That is Tanzania. What happened? When they came on the ground, you find in one house, same house, one bedroom is in Somalia, and the sitting room is in Kenya. If you try to tell the Maasai of Tanzania and Kenya that there is a boundary, they don't know of any boundary. They say, we follow where the grass is, where the grass grows, that is where we go. Yeah? And the East African community is trying to address those regions. That is why for East African community, countries that are members, first of all, we have said there is no visa. This visa is a foreign animal to us. Yeah? So for East African region, there's no visa. If you are Kenyan, you don't require a visa to go to Tanzania, to Rwanda, to Burundi, to Uganda. You don't. Hopefully, when South Sudan joins the East African community, when Somalia joins the East African community, and many other countries, that will be the same. So we'll be able now to do away with the visas. We have even gone further. We said, what are these passports? Who came up with these passports? So we have said, if you are a member of the East African community, you don't need a passport to visit another country. You only require your ID. And that is happening in the East African community. And similarly, when South Sudan joins, Somalia joins, and any other country joins, the same process will come. So we are for regional integration. And it's something that we support. That's something that we really support. Curfew. Yes, it's true, a curfew has been imposed. But I would like to assure you that this is a temporary measure. Temporary measure. It was to find out whether if there is a curfew, whether those indications will be less or more. And the curfew is reviewed will be reviewed every month. So I would like to assure that the curfew is temporary. We know the consequences. It affects economic activities in any region. So the curfew issue is temporary. It's going to be lifted. Let me come to, I think, the one that really touched me most by Mama Aisha was on the money transfers. It is true, and as I said, I've come to initiate dialogue. It is true. I'd like to explain why the government took that action. Again, as I said, you are dealing with a faceless, formless, shapeless enemy. The information that the government had is that there were some of the money transfer operators that could have maybe, or they were financing, or without even knowing, they were sending money to Al-Shabaab. And it's only that about 80% of the money transfer operators were from the Somali community. Others were also affected. But the majority were from the Somali community, about 75% of them, out of the 86 operators. So what they have been asked to do now is to give all the information. They have been asked to give out information, to register themselves, and then they'll be given regulations that they are going to follow. For example, they must be able to identify the recipient of the money so that there is a trail. You can say, yes, this money was received, it was sent to this, and this, and this. So that process is going on. In fact, it was because we know the consequences, we know the effect that it has had, not only on your community, Somali community, even on our economy also. The Kenya shilling is under threat because of the foreign remittances that you are sending. They are not being received in Kenya. So it has depreciated. So there's no way we can cut our own feet. We know which side of our bread is buttered. So this was supposed to be done within a month's time, so that those who have registered themselves, they have forwarded all the documentation, they have agreed to comply with the rules, they should be reopened. But unfortunately, again by very bad coincidence, the tenure of the governor of Central Bank, who could have done this, issued these instructions, ended. So we have no governor of Central Bank as we speak. Yesterday, but one, the president appointed somebody to replace the retiring governor, but it requires to be vetted and approved by Parliament before he is formally appointed by the president. Again, I will be speaking to the Speaker of the National Assembly to expedite this process so that we have a governor. Again, as I said, it's very unfortunate. Even the chairman of the board of directors term also expired. So again, we have no chairman of Central Bank. Yeah, we have no, even the term of the deputy governor also expired. So we have again no deputy governor of the Central Bank. So all those appointments have now been made, and therefore I'll be speaking to the Speaker of the National Assembly to expedite the process so that the legitimate organizations that were sending money can be reopened. Yeah? Because I went through the village market mall, and I went to the barber shop, I went to a hotel there, I went to, I think there was a lady selling some carpets, and I was touched by their story. Say, look, I have money. My relatives, some are in Garissa, some are in Dadaab, but I can't send them money. If they have no money, they can't even buy water. They have to use the muddy water from the borehole or wherever. So I was touched. So I'm taking upon myself to employ on government to make the decision quickly so the legitimate money operators can continue with the business. Because that's why we came here. One of the things is to help our relatives and friends in Kenya, in Somalia, and elsewhere. Yeah? For Kenya government, we recognize the support that we have received from the diaspora. We received over $1.5 billion last year from the diaspora. Yeah? So and we would like you to send even more. We'd like to send even more. So I've really come here to appeal to you also to help government eradicate this problem. As I said, before this problem came, we had no issue at all. There was no issue. But I said, we are dealing with a shapeless, formless entity. As I said, to conclude, we have said that we have recognized that this cannot be done militarily. As I said, we are going to use the elders, we are going to use the youth, we are going to use the women, we are going to use the imams, we are going to use the sheikhs, we are going to use every institution that is there, because for us to win this war, we must have the trust of the people of Northeastern. We must have the trust. If there is no trust, we cannot succeed. There has to be trust. So whatever we do, it has to be done in a way that instills confidence with the people. But if people don't trust what the government is doing, even if they know of Al-Shabaab, do you think they will go and inform the government? No. They will not. So again, as I said, a few mistakes may have been made, but we have realized our mistakes, and we are now going to use even other methods. We are also going to use intelligence, not brutal power of the police, so that you can pinpoint where that Al-Shabaab is. Not rounding up people in one room and asking, where is Al-Shabaab? Do you think Al-Shabaab will say, I'm Al-Shabaab? No, you're not. So we are going to use intelligence rather than brutal police format. And I'm talking to you because you are the elite of the Somali community. You are the only world power existing in the world. So your word is important. Yeah? What you tell your people in Kenya is important. Very, very, very important. Yeah? When you hear a person from the Somali community say Minnesota, you know, you are talking to an elite. You know that you are talking to an elite. Yeah? Yeah? So we want you to use that power, that opportunity that this country has given you, to use it to bring peace, to bring reconciliation in Kenya, in Somalia, and in all other places. As I said, we are fighting radicalism because we have realized it's what is causing us, and even more that we now have domestic Al-Shabaab. Is no longer foreign. So again, we have to change our techniques and our tactics in order to finish this. Lastly, I want to say this. It is not government policy to engage in any illegal act. And in fact, any person, whether a police officer or whoever, who engages in an illegal action, under normal circumstances, action should be taken on them. Therefore, asking for a bribe, that is against the Constitution, is against our own laws. And you should never accept to give any bribe. You should never, humiliation is not even allowed in our Constitution. It's illegal also. Brutality is not allowed in our Constitution. It's illegal. Therefore, nobody should ever engage in a brutality at all. Communal punishment is not allowed. It's not known anywhere by our laws. Yeah? So, the sin of one person should not be transmitted to the community. It's illegal. So, I'm here. As I said, I've started this dialogue so that the few issues that Al-Shabaab has brought upon us, we are able to sort them out. I'll come again. This is not the first and the last. I'll come again. I've received very wonderful welcome. And therefore, and you can see I was sitting on a throne. I've never sat on a throne. So I don't know whether you are going to give it to me to take it back to DC. This chair I was given is more beautiful than even the chair that I use in the embassy. That shows the respect that you have accorded to me and to my embassy and to my staff. Let me just finish by introducing members of the Kenyan embassy. If you could just stand. Yeah. On my left, that is Lydia Gaki, our administrative attaché. That is Agnes Kirui, our secretary, first secretary. in charge of economics, and that is Betty Belsoi, our Social Secretary. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for listening to me. I will come again. I have had a wonderful time here. Thank you very much.
Ambassador, you covered all the questions that they gave me. So, but there's only one question that you did not cover. They are asking when will be the embassy open a consular here in Minneapolis? Yes. And he's adding, is it gonna be Somali or is it gonna be someone else?
Yes. Thank you so much. In fact, it's I'm sorry about that. In fact, it was one on my list. I wanted to come and tell you the good news that our President Uhuru Kenyatta approved the establishment of a honorary consul here in Minneapolis. We advertised for it. I'm sure you saw it. Yeah? Yes. We advertised in our website. We received applications. A team came here and interviewed the people who had applied for the position. They got 3 names, and which you have sent to Nairobi. We are just waiting for a one from Nairobi on the person they have appointed. And it's face of Kenya. The 3 candidates represent the face of Kenya. Yeah. So let's wait for what Nairobi will approve, and then we move from there. When that honorary consul is appointed here, you'll be able to get your visas from here. You'll be able to get your renewal passports from here. So Israel is going to work for you. Lastly, I was honored by the Minneapolis City Council. I was touched. The whole council was there, and these are through the efforts Abdul Wasame, who was here. So I would like to encourage you, next time I come here, I want to hear of a congressman or woman from the Somali community. I want to hear of a governor from the Somali community. Yeah? You are here. You must also get involved in the political process. You are here. Thank you.